Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of E-Heroes. This is episode 231. We are
Hmm.
getting up there. And my next guest, for anyone who is struggling with vision or health or manifesting a better lifestyle, I brought on, ah, this is a great expert, Amy Baker, who once quoted my books, my Rob versus books, as the ultimate mindfuckery. So there, take that. So welcome, Amy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad. I love that we met that way. I mean, we met other ways, but I'm happy for that connection.
So, I know right now, coming off of COVID, everybody's vision was kind of distorted. Their health kind of got put to the wayside, and there's not a real clear vision on how really do you manifest something. There's some people that do it one way and some people do it the other way. And what's your take on it?
On manifesting a vision,
Yes, everything,
everything.
everything. We're going to talk everything.
um, that's interesting because I actually just started listening to Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Hmm.
And while I'm not deep into that, I think there's a lot in that. So I think a lot of us learned in during COVID in a beautiful way that our life wasn't working the way we thought it was or wasn't working in our favor.
Hmm.
And we need to do something different if we want to manifest something different. We need to change our thought patterns, change our relationships, change our environment, be willing to get really freaking uncomfortable um, with life actually going our way. As
Hmm.
um, and so that's one of the beauties of COVID, and that's what I help people do in relationship and with their mindset. Um, to manifest a different life and get empowered
Well,
in
I
their
mean,
lives.
you change your environment. You're, I guess, right now in Hawaii, and on the call or before the call, the recording, you said that you're a
Mhm.
nomad.
Yep,
So you can change your environment at will,
at will.
at will.
Yeah. And a big reason I did that, so I left healthcare about 15 months ago. I was a healthcare administrator. And for about 4 years, I'd been complaining that it was soul sucking, but I loved the money.
Mm.
And I basically came into alignment with what I believe is true. And I don't believe that's health, and I never have. And I said, freedom is more important than being in an office every day.
Mhm.
And I sold everything and I hit the road. And one of the reasons for that was that I wanted to get really good um, following my intuition and trusting my intuition because I hadn't been following it and I lost trust in myself. And you got to really be in touch with your intuition when you're not constantly on the move, but on the move a lot. And it's been a beautiful exercise, and I trust my intuition now after years of not.
Well, as a nomad, you don't have the material stuff to take with you. You know,
Well,
the books and the CD. Well, I do we even have CDs anymore? It's all on
right.
everything.
I actually have CDs in my car. So I'm still who I am, and I still have more stuff than I need in my car that is like my home on wheels. I don't sleep in it, but um, so it's funny. Even though I let go of a whole home and storage unit, I still have more stuff than I need. And so it's a process. Letting go is a process.
So, what in the health field didn't you like?
So I've been a pharmacist. I'm still licensed. I just don't practice for, I've been a pharmacist for 12 years now. And that's not health to me.
Hmm.
It's healthcare is actually sick care, and we give it the wrong name.
Hmm.
It's very good at taking care of really sick people.
Right.
We could sew someone's leg back on and they can walk again. That's freaking amazing. People have heart attacks or strokes, and we can do amazing things to save their lives. But when we put our health in the hands of a medical complex and then get mad, it's like that's just a waste of energy and life force in my mind. So I've been looking at what is health really the whole time, trying to make the best of a situation where I know that medications are not the answer. Um, and I did a functional medicine fellowship, getting to the root cause of disease. Like we're not there.
Hmm.
Dis-ease state management. They usually would talk about pharmacy as like disease state management. I was like, ew. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep people in dis-ease. Um, so anyway, at the end of my fellowship after 3 years, I thought, if my patients have a shitty home life and they don't have self-worth and they don't know how to advocate for themselves, they're not going to be able to make the changes they need to be healthy. So
Right.
we're not there. And I did a relationship coach training because I had some relational stuff I really needed to work on a couple years ago. And I said, all right, I got to dive in. Years of therapy, haven't done it. Um, and what I realized through that is that one of our main core needs as a human to be safe in the world is to feel seen and heard.
Hmm.
And that so few people ever have that experience. And that's if we don't feel safe in the world and our body doesn't feel safe in the world, we can't be healthy because there's this constant stress going on. So that started my journey of like, what is true health? And for me, it's a healthy and resilient nervous system. If we're not looking at health through the lens of the nervous system, we're not focusing on health in the least.
Hmm. Yeah, and insurance companies are dictating that you take this pill over something that's natural. To me, that's
Mhm.
wrong.
Correct. It's not preventive, and they wait until you're actually sick to give you attention. It's that 80-20 rule where it's like we give 80% of our attention to the 20% that's most sick. Um, and until then, good luck. So if we expect healthcare to prevent us from sickness and then get upset when they don't, then we're just putting our power outside of ourselves. There are options,
Hmm.
but we as people and humans just need to take some accountability, right?
And how did your
For
friends and family feel when you became a nomad?
um, for once, my parents lovingly kept their mouths shut, and I know inside they were like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're giving up all this money and 8 weeks of PTO, and you finally reached this successful whatever." Um, and I did tell them, I said, I know this is probably difficult for you, and I'm just so grateful that you didn't judge me. So yeah, my friends they're jealous, and I there's plenty of challenges of being a nomad. Let me just, it's not like unicorns and rainbows and pure freedom, and there's always a compromise.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, people were supportive, and if I don't think I've had anyone that wasn't supportive, actually, that I aware of,
Oh, but the scammers can't find you when you're a nomad.
except that I post online where I'm at. Yeah, the scammers.
Yeah. So I had a for those who are wondering why I said that, I sent her a copy of my latest book, Rob versus the Unicorns, and yeah, I guess you liked it because you gave me a compliment. But
Yeah,
yeah,
super fun.
it's I just try to make people laugh, and yes, I do it at the expense of scammers and lousy customer service. But we have to learn. I think going back to your statement of we want to be seen and heard, COVID stripped that away from us. And as entrepreneurs, we were forced to just collectively go behind these Zoom lenses,
Yeah.
and it got tiring, it got exhausting, and it's okay to do a podcast with it, but when you're in every single meeting, you're like, this is bull crap. I don't want to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
a lot of entrepreneurs just said, I've had it. And so it's
Had
you
it
know
with a disconnection
right.
or
Well,
yeah.
yeah, not having that in person, know,
Yeah.
networking. When I used to go to events, I would get more out of meeting people in the hallways in the conference room than being in the big room listening to a speaker tell me
Totally.
something I already knew. But for 2 years, couldn't do that, and people were like buying my books left and right because they wanted that. Not only that laughter, but they could sense themselves being in that same situation that I was sharing, and I think it really helped them get through COVID.
Nice.
You know, so
Yeah, they're not alone in their experience, right?
right,
They're like, "Oh, shit, someone gets it.
yeah,
It's not just me in my little corner over here."
right, and there's nothing wrong with being in a corner by yourself, but eventually you're gonna have to come into the real world and talk to people.
Yeah, and I think one of the beauties of COVID for myself and a lot of people is that we realize how much we need connection.
Hmm.
I love being alone, and it got to a point where I was like, if I don't connect with people, I might just vanish from society. Um, and so even introverts realize they have a limit of being alone,
Mm-hmm.
and and people realize they don't really know how to connect sometimes
Hmm.
when we take away all the distractions, and then people are left with their partners and they're like, oh shit, I don't actually know how to connect with this person because I'm always disconnecting and I'm always like watching TV or going to concerts or going to the bar or whatever.
Hmm.
It's beautiful.
Hmm.
So people are like, oh, I think I need to learn how to relate better,
Right.
how to connect better. And I want people around me to like be able to hear me and
So
connect with me. So
is that how I'm looking at your Facebook page? Is that how embodied came about?
yeah. I mean, I was a professional ballerina and I've been a mover all my life. So
Hmm.
being embodied with an E is like a big part of my life and a lot of what people miss.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of being able to be with our emotions and be with our emotions in the presence of other people is feeling our body and feeling the sensations and not running from it. And like our body's talking to us all the time. We tend to be up here and listen to this, but our body, if we slow down, is telling us all kinds of things.
Hmm.
But usually it's like we just want to run from as
Right.
humans. It's like, I don't even know we're doing it.
Yeah. And
Um,
when we don't listen to what the body says, we get burnout and
yep,
exhaustion, and we tend to give up. And
yeah, yeah. So, um, and I learned, I did 2 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats. I don't know if you've heard of those, but they're pretty intense.
mm-mm,
And I actually spent a month um, at one right after I hit the road as a nomad. Like, oh, I could just stay here for a month. Um, and that's beautiful at helping or just realizing how much sensation is running through our body all the time that we're completely unaware of and completely unaware that we react to it.
hmm.
People who have weird tics and stuff, those are sensations they're responding to. So,
Yeah, I just started traveling again, and we were down in Charleston, and
mhm.
it was just nice to get away and to experience something new and not be checking my phone, every 8.3 seconds and
I'm with you there.
yeah, so it was sometimes you just get lost in new things.
Mhm. In new things. Oh, like being in a new environment.
New environment, new people, you know,
Yeah.
tourism, whatever. It's just, yeah, I think we're a creature of habit, and we like to
Mhm.
do the same thing over and over and over again, and people
Yeah.
don't know how to embrace the new.
Yeah. But because and this is where the nervous system comes in. I see everything now through the lens of the nervous system. Um, New feels safe, or
Hmm.
it doesn't unsafe. Familiar feels safe. Even when someone's in a relationship where they're like, I shouldn't put up with this shit, but it feels familiar because that's how they grew up.
Hmm.
And so it's very hard to change that wiring. Um, and it's important if we want to grow
Right.
to put ourselves in new situations. That's what I surrounded myself with entrepreneurs because I'll tell you what, in healthcare, in the medical complex, I call it, um, there are entrepreneurial people. But
Hmm.
in general, I was expected to toe the line.
Hmm.
My innovative thinking and my ideas were generally not, they like just kind of didn't get it
Hmm.
or didn't really want to hear my challenges to a system. And so I had to surround myself with entrepreneurs who are outside the box thinkers. They're innovative. They're like, they question things
Hmm.
like, why do we do it this way when I want to do it this way?
Hmm.
No, I'm gonna, you go that way. I'm gonna go this way
Hmm.
because that looks exciting over there, and
Hmm.
that has a lot more potential. And I love that. And so um, that's inspiring for me. So I would tell people I say that because if people want to be inspired, they need to be around inspired people.
Hmm. Yeah, I was when we were talking about familiar. One of the analogies I like to use is that people go to McDonald's not because it's healthy, but because it's familiar. They know what to expect, versus going to something new. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to go to that restaurant. I don't know anything about them. But let's go to McDonald's because I know it's familiar."
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Familiar is clogging your arteries. It's crap food. It's this, and this, and but yeah, okay. Let's go there because it's familiar. Familiar will kill you.
Yeah. And we're just, yeah. And it will reinforce the same neural patterns in your brain.
Hmm.
Whereas novelty inspires creativity um, and possibility and really wakens up the mind and the body
Hmm.
in this amazing way. But we have to seek out novelty. Otherwise, the novelty of social media will take over our brain and we'll
Sure.
think it's novel, like
Hmm.
TikTok, right?
Yeah.
5 to 30 seconds, maybe 3 minutes if someone is verbose enough, and we think it's novel, and we might get novel ideas. And how about novel life?
Right. Yeah. With TikTok, I'll make a 2-minute video,
I love your
and,
videos, by the way.
and, and nobody watches them. I make a
I do.
5 second or 10. Well, you do, but you make a very short video, and you get thousands of people. I'm like, you guys are stupid. It's all ADHD or whatever you want to call it, ADD, or it's designed for the. Uh, I'm not even gonna say it anymore. It's just I have clients that are doing very well on TikTok,
Yeah.
but I think it's the approach. I think it's the stories that they want to share, and I think if you break the mold and deliver quality content,
Mhm.
it shouldn't matter what platform you're on. You're going to attract the people that you really want. But if you're going to play the game and say, well, I'm only going to produce 9-second videos because that's what the attention span of the people that are watching, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get, you know, bottom feeders, low
Yeah.
hanging fruit.
Right. So
non-thinkers.
so people who are actually like curious about what you're saying
Yeah,
are going to stick with it.
yeah.
And social media, everything is good and good and bad. It's actually neutral until we put a charge on it.
Mhm.
Every circumstance and everything is totally neutral. So, um, I'm not dissing TikTok, and
This it, come on.
and if we're not conscious about how we're using it,
Right.
then we just become scrollers, and we can say, "Oh, look, it just took over my brain for like half an hour. Huh? I wonder what I'm avoiding."
Scrollers.
The doom scrolling.
I like that. But yeah, the I and going back to novelty, that's exactly why I wrote the Rob Versus series. All the other books that I wrote, and they're all brilliant books.
Mhm.
If you haven't read them, people go read them. They'll teach you something.
Yeah.
The Rob Versus books broke the mold. They were all sarcasm. They got you to think. They got you to envision yourself in a story. They gave you a little life lesson blurb at the end. It was different. And I had people at the very beginning. Hey, Rob, it's just they're just a collection of stories. It won't be a book. 6 books later, and I got two more coming out
Right.
next year. So
Nice.
novelty sells. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and let me just say that you embodied what and still do, what I really wanted to do with these calls,
Hmm.
and a way of calling out bullshit
Hmm.
in a fun way, um, that isn't angry. A lot of people wanna say, "You're wasting my time," but you said it in a different way. "Gonna waste your time."
Well,
You're
you could
welcome.
you could still write the book, and it could be a funny, your take on pharmacology or the health system or whatever. But
Right.
it has to be in your voice. It has to be your experiences, and for everyone out there writing a book, it has to be you.
Yeah.
Most people are like, well, I don't want to write it because people aren't going to be interested. Everybody wants to hear your story. You just don't want to tell it. Or they'll say, I'm just not interesting. Yeah, you're interesting to a lot of people. You just don't know it. Or they want to be PC about everything. And I'm like, really? Are you PC in the real life? Write the damn book.
That's a big one, especially in the professional realm,
Hmm.
you know? Um, yeah. And so being out of an environment where everyone's PC
Hmm.
is super helpful. It's been helpful for me. I would be much more likely to write a book now with my true views, having been out of the healthcare system for 15 months now, where I
Hmm.
was expected as a leader to like toe the line. So people who are feeling like I really want to speak to people who are feeling out of integrity like I was,
Hmm.
and having their voices turned down and shut off, and then doing that, like choosing to do that to keep their job. It's the same as not voicing your needs in a relationship,
Hmm.
and it's soul sucking, and there are other ways
Right.
to live your life. You don't
So
have to be out of integrity or not have a voice. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
what's your vision for yourself? Are you going to have retreats? Are you going to have courses? Are you going to have one-on-ones?
Yeah. I have a lot of things brewing in me right now. So yes. um my long-term vision is to shift how society views and practices health, and putting nervous system health and resilience literally in the front and at the core
Hmm.
of health. Um, it'd be amazing if some point in the future, physicians even would look at someone's status, their nervous system resilience, and help them
Right.
with that. Or, put
Yeah,
Yeah, there's just
I think a doctor should. I mean, it seems like right now, in order to go that route, you have to go to a naturopath, or
Mhm.
why can't the doctor be teaching the same stuff?
Because the system isn't built for that. The system, they learn, it's like instead of, I realized I couldn't fight the system from within
Hmm.
because they learn diagnosis and then prescription.
Hmm.
Like that's how they're taught. And so their lens is through what is wrong and at what disease state is happening here versus what's right.
Hmm.
So I'm changing my lens to one, the body's amazing at healing. We can support it in its healing. Every symptom is actually a sign from your body telling you one, it's working
Hmm.
and it's telling you what it needs, right? So instead of looking at that as bad, it's like it's telling you what it needs and it's helping you get back in alignment with who you truly are and a life that is in integrity. And
Right.
when we start looking at it through that lens, we can partner with our body and help it. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I need help here.
Hmm.
Um,
I know for me personally. I mean, I've been drinking a lot of water. When I don't hydrate, I get massive headaches. But I can either hydrate or go to the medicine cabinet and get an aspirin. What's the aspirin going to do? Suppress my headache. I still need to hydrate. So why don't I just
right.
hydrate and forget the medicine?
Yeah. It's a different way of thinking that some people were never taught,
Right.
or they want the easy way. The easy way out. The easy way out is actually to hydrate and change patterns. But when the pattern is, oh, take a pill for it,
Yeah.
like what we were talking about earlier. Oh, if that's the pattern, then we just reach for it, and then afterward we go, oh, I guess I could have.
Right.
Well, next time.
Yeah. And it's there's so many so-called easy buttons or easy pills. You know,
Mhm.
people that are overweight, they'll take them to see if they can lose weight. A lot of times, it doesn't do anything for you. It just, makes you more dependent on pills. You know what? Stop.
It's disempowering.
Mhm.
So here's the thing: when we partner with our nervous system, and which means fostering healthy, secure, safe, and secure relationships in our life, and taking our emotional safety into our hands 100%. It means partnering with our body on a metabolic and level, like hydration, sun, and exercise. Um, and then we work on our mindset and really get aware of how our thoughts are creating our reality, and then flipping the script on our stories and challenging our stories, we
Mhm.
become empowered. And the cool thing about that, I think it's one reason it hasn't happened, is our system, our society literally capitalizes on dysregulated nervous systems
Mhm.
because we are unmanipulable when our nervous system is at ease and we are aware of our thoughts and we can look at stuff and say, that's bullshit.
Mhm.
Or my body says no, and I'm going to honor that,
Mhm.
right? We don't doom scroll because we're not avoiding feelings. And that's not to say that there's like this perfect state, but I envision when people do that, then they're not hooked to the system. They're completely empowered to live the life they want and to support other people doing that. And
Mhm.
that gets me excited.
Yeah. These
Yeah,
shouldn't get these devices shouldn't get anybody excited. All they do is
I
rob our
know.
time. And I'm not saying that they're ultimately bad. I think they do good things, but checking them every 8 point some seconds is just dumb. What's
Yeah,
going to change between now and then?
and it's a sign that, like for me, when I do that, because I'm human,
Mhm.
um, I'm like, oh, what's going on that's causing me to reach for this thing, thinking it's like, do I need a dopamine hit?
Mhm.
Am I nervous about things falling through the cracks? Like, what's really happening for me?
For me, it was JOMO, the joy of missing out, and
The joy of missing out.
I've turned off all the notifications, and I check it only a couple times a day now, and it's just, you know what? Yeah, I create content for people, but I don't need to be in front of computers and devices, and I feel like
Yeah.
after a while it becomes your umbilical cord. You're tied to the thing, and no,
So,
I don't want it supplying me all that mental crap.
well, and I'm curious since you've been doing that. I love JOMO. Like, we should do hashtag JOMO, you know? Have you done hashtag JOMO?
Probably a long time ago. I
Okay.
have really haven't hashtagged much, and I know to some of our friends, they're all into hashtags.
Yeah. I'm curious how that's been for you. Like, what has kind of taken the place of the every 8.3 seconds?
Actually getting work done. It's when you're not tied to these things, your brain can refocus and get so much stuff done. I get so much
Yeah.
stuff done in 2 3 hours that most people probably takes them all week to do.
Hmm.
And people are like, "Well, Rob, how did you create all this content? I only gave it to you like 15 minutes ago." Because I'm focused now. I
Yeah.
don't have that brain cloud or whatever you want to call it that's messing me up here.
Well, and there's actually studies that having the phone in your view
Hmm.
makes people stupider in that they have a split attention, and so they actually can't fully focus. And my friend quotes a study where it's you lose like 23 minutes every time you get distracted or something around those lines. That's a
Wow.
lot of time.
Yeah.
So, um, I haven't vetted the study, and those are approximate numbers. But
And if I got
so,
distracted like that, I would never get anything done. These podcasts wouldn't even happen.
right.
So,
So you're gaining back your time in your life. Imagine
and
if you're
and I
more
get to
focused in,
write all these great books, and I mean, we produced
right.
36 books in 9 years.
Nice.
So, people are like, "Rob, I just don't understand how you get so much done." Well, don't look at these devices.
And see, that's a power changing one thing
Mhm.
that's like sucking your time and energy. You didn't have to change your whole life or create some crazy schedule or
Although, truth be told, I do answer phones for scammers because it provides content for my books. And then clients are like, "How come you didn't answer my call? It didn't come up scam likely, so I'm not going to answer it." And they're like, "Well, we give you money too." I said, "Yeah, but you're not book worthy."
yeah. How do they feel with that? They just laugh.
Yeah, they usually just email me then.
They need to call from a separate phone and mess with you.
That's right. Yeah, but it's fun to do, and it started out as just because I got frustrated. I was when before I even came out with the first Rob versus book, I was getting hammered with these calls all the time, and I would get angry, and I would curse at them, and I'd throw the phone down, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, what's this solving? It's not solving anything." I said, "Why don't I just mess with them and write down the stories and start sharing it out?" And that's what I did, and people loved them.
Nice.
And so, just tweaking that little or reframing that thing, from being angry to taking the information and sharing it out. I was able to
Yeah.
produce all these books, and the books write themselves now, you know? Um,
Yeah. And not only that, you're modeling a different way of approaching something that pisses a lot of people off,
mhm, yeah.
you know? And
I'm an
like,
equal opportunity offender.
I love that.
It's just,
Yeah.
people don't understand sarcasm, but I take it two ways. The books act as rejection marketing as much as they do with attraction marketing. Is that if you're attracted to sarcasm, you'll like them, you'll read them, you'll laugh, maybe you'll become a client. If you don't like them, then it's going to reject you, you're basically self-disqualifying yourself, and then you'll never call me. I won't help you do whatever you want me to, and I just
Yeah.
get better clients.
Yeah, that are more aligned with who you actually are,
Hmm.
right? And aren't you don't and if you put up a different face, a non-sarcastic face, and then they see you behind the scenes once they hire you, they're like, "What the hell just happened? Who are
Right,
you?" That
right.
happens in relationship, that happens in business.
Yeah.
So
The
I
the only
appreciate
the
Go ahead.
the downside with the books though is each cover has to get more ridiculous as I go on. So I don't know what book 7 or 8 are going to be because I think I got pretty ridiculous in book 6, which is Rob versus the unicorn. So
Unicorns. You got AI on your side. I mean, you could spend $6 and get 100 pictures.
yeah, I think I'll pass on that one. Well, see, and there you go. That is a prime example of fear of missing out. And all these people had to just join the crowd and get
Yeah.
this AI to design them pictures that made their lips bigger, their shoulders bigger, and yeah, other body parts, and it just and if you look, nobody has a perfect face. Nobody's
No.
face is within symmetry. So one side's always going to be a little different. But all these AI pictures made all the faces look. I mean, they cleaned out all the distortions. Nobody has moles anymore. Nobody has freckles, and I was like,
That or those are the only actually I did it and I should post the bloopers because actually sometimes they accentuated it in
yeah.
certain things and it
Didn't
was
you
like,
have like
"Oh,
3 arms?
yes, almost 4." There was like this creepy arm behind me and then one of my arms had like a second-ish ghost arm and it was kind of fast. There's actually other ones that had missing either a missing body part or like an extra-ish body part.
I saw one
One
where
where
the guy
my
had like 12 fingers, and I'm like, what is that? No, forget it.
so it's learning. It's like a little kid. Um, but I think it's time to post some of the blooper ones where, the eyeballs sideways
Wow.
or the face is off. Because there are those people just don't want to post those ugly ones.
Yeah, side eyeball Amy. Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah, I probably should post that one. You
So
never know where I'm focused.
yeah. So how do people find you, and how do they get focused learning from you?
Probably the best way actually right now is my Instagram, Amy RX Baker. It's Amy RX Baker everywhere.
RX.
Um, yeah, as in prescription,
Hmm.
because the prescription for health that we've been sold is not true.
It's
So
a
I decided
lie.
to keep the RX because I'm like, you know what? I think it helps that I've actually been in that world, and I'm like, no, it's not. It has its role, and it's
Yeah,
not where you get healthy.
yeah, and I think more people will appreciate the fact that you're coming from that role.
Hmm.
You know the ins and outs of that field, as opposed to some of these people that have never been there but are saying, "Hey, this is what I can sell you on." If you've never been there, you don't know.
Yeah,
Um, I think that you have an advantage over everyone else, and they're going to listen to your story. They're going to believe you because the fact is that you spent time in that industry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And how much time do we have?
We have 3 more hours. I mean, we could talk forever. I don't know if everybody would appreciate that, but I
Uh,
mean, we
c-
can we can we can end it now. We can end it in 2 minutes. Whatever.
Could I share something that I is personal and I hope that people resonate or some people will resonate with?
No
If
personal
that's
stuff. No, no, go ahead.
so one thing that really helped me look at the nervous system was um uh January of last year. I had a 27 years of unresolved sexual trauma surface.
Hmm.
Like it was the weirdest freaking thing. And I could barely function in my work and in my life. And thankfully I was in a community where my mentor said, you need a trauma integration specialist. I was like, cool, let me get that person. Because it felt like a huge regression to a time in my life that I uh, didn't want to be in. And I'm so freaking grateful because what it helped me, not only did it help me integrate trauma, which, by the way, there's 75 to 100 million people in the US that have childhood sexual trauma. And those are the ones that know about it and report it. So I say this because I realized that any time in my life up until then when I felt powerless, whether it was even in a conversation, if someone just wouldn't shut up and I couldn't get a word in, that my nervous system would react and I'd either get hypervigilant or posture or collapse and I thought I was crazy and I thought I'm overreacting. But the body, if there's something like powerlessness, the body doesn't know the difference and it will react
Mhm.
when there's unresolved trauma. And I thought about our patients and I thought about our providers. Providers were being told how to do their job at every step, in every point. So if they have any domestic violence trauma or sexual trauma in their lives, I thought, we're re traumatizing them. And patients have to jump through hoops every freaking step of the way. And how many of them are we just re traumatizing because our system is so disempowering?
Mhm.
And that kind of blew my mind that the way our system works, we are making people, especially those with unresolved trauma, we're making them sicker
Mhm.
just through how the system works. And um, and my trauma integration, like I still meet with my therapist every couple of weeks, but it's been so empowering and transformative, and I want that for people. It changed my life. It changed my story of how I viewed myself in the past when I was overreact overreactive, when I was emotional and impulsive and did shit that wasn't good for me.
Right.
And now I can be like, oh, my nervous system was on fire. Yeah, I'm still responsible for my actions, but like it just wipes away so much of the shame.
Yeah. And hearing people tell you to stop overreacting probably
Oh,
didn't help. You know,
oh, that,
punch them in the
throw the
nose.
finger that way. I say, that's your stuff, not mine. If
Yeah.
you think I'm overreacting. So, and now I'm in a place where I can say, okay, cool. That's your stuff.
Mhm.
And I can also be compassionate if I'm projecting my stuff onto someone and be like, oh yeah, I can see how what I did was pretty uncool. So it's both and. But I
Mhm.
just want to share that because I think there are a lot of people that I've told that story and they've resonated and been like, ooh, maybe there's an option here.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what's unresolved and that's why I'm like this
Yeah.
in certain situations.
And there's a lot of people who went through that or are going through that, and
Hmm.
the first thing that their doctor or therapist does is medicate them, which I think is wrong.
Yep. And I went through that too. I was on antidepressants for 10 years and it actually made me more emotionally volatile
Mhm.
versus less. It didn't actually help.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you for naming that because it doesn't integrate the trauma.
Mhm.
I would love, part of my vision is to create a network of trauma integration specialists so that when people are ready,
Mhm.
um, they have that option at their hands.
Right.
So if anyone knows of a network that's already started, please let me know.
We're
I'd love to jump in. I don't have to create the whole thing. Like there's probably stuff out there that I can just tap into and collaborate with.
Well, you've tapped into your vision, and I want the audience to learn how to tap into theirs, to understand who they are, what they do, and what they stand for, and maybe how to improve, their future going forward. And so please go over to Amy's Instagram. It's what'd you say? It's Amy RX Baker.
Acre. Hmm.
Hmm.
And if you go to my link tree, there's there's quite a few links, but one of them is to schedule a call with me. So if someone wants to either collaborate with me or work with me or hire me um, for coaching and one-on-one support, that's where we go. And I'll just hop on a 30-minute call and see how we can work together.
Or you fly down there and meet her and you get to see all the birds and the fabulous stuff.
Right. And the whales, the humpback
Oh,
whales are here. They're magic.
wow.
Man, if anyone comes to Maui, you got to come here. Like I say, the best time is Valentine's through April Fools, but really mid-December to end of March is whale season, and it's magical. And you must get under the water and listen for the song of the whales. Don't miss out on
Yeah, I'll probably fly down there and miss out everything.
that.
Why? I'm checking my phone. You don't do
Yeah.
that.
No, JOMO.
Yeah, JOMO. That's right.
I'm gonna I'm gonna embody JOMO.
There you go. So, see, I taught somebody something today.
Yes, thank
Anyway,
you.
we will see everyone on the next episode. Adios.